AskReddit by its actual line 1. Which comedian is super famous but not funny at all? Carlos Ned Mencha. Do you like fish sticks? Yeah. Do you like putting fish sticks in your mouth? Yeah. What are you, a gay fish? David Hughes, big in Australia and one big dickhead, not funny at all, and he has a voice you want to punch. Face 2. Peter Hellier 2. He was funny in an awkward way back in the Road Live days. How he still has a gig as a comedian baffles me. Brendan Schaub. The guy's only famous for being Joe Rogan's friend. His stand-up feels like a forced open mic during your high school talent show. He also goes after anyone that makes fun of him with legal action. Dude sucks ass in more ways than one. Ellen, her voice is like nails on a chalkboard, so I cannot hear the comedy. I always saw her as someone who didn't respect people's boundaries. Then it came she was a tyrant. I was right-ish. Carlos Mencha. He is just not funny at all to me. Are we differentiating here between comedian and comedic actor? Because Ken Jeong is great as a comedic actor, but his stand-up comedy was pretty terrible. Also, Kevin Hart. His whole thing is that he is short and loud. I really don't understand why he is as big as he is. Yeah, I've lately realized that Ken Jeong isn't actually that funny of a person. Like you said, great comedic actor, but isn't an inherently funny guy. He had his own show and it fucking sucked. James Corden. The world got to see James Corden as a fat pussy. He was also in the movie Cats. Ricky Gervais. I fucking miss Craig Ferguson. Tried to find out what he was up to and it seems like he just up and buggered off to rural Scotland with his family. Fair fucking play to the man. Does his bit, pieces out and goes to enjoy life and do whatever he feels like. Jimmy Fallon's laugh is about as genuine as a pair of Jordans from Wish.com. Right. Jimmy isn't good at sustaining a conversation, which leads to the forced laughter, because he also doesn't have any sort of right Johnny Carson thing, and all of that is why I never understood him in the talk show role. But he was never a stand-up. And as a sketch comedian, he could be funny, especially with the musical stuff. It's like people took too long to catch on that he was kind of bad as a host, and now he gets too much hate. George Lopez. His older stuff was alright, but he's just not funny at all now. Had to turn off his last special because it was so bad. My uncle went to high school with him and said he was annoying as shit. I do have good memories of falling asleep on the couch as a kid and waking up to the George Lopez show theme song. Never seen his stand-up, but I like the sitcom. I feel like the only late night host who is genuinely funny is Conan. Craig Ferguson is a fucking gem too. Fallon. If he is funny, I can't tell. He's too busy laughing at how funny he thinks he is. All of his reactions on his talk show are so calculated and insincere. Guest said something vaguely funny, bark laughter, slap the desk, and shout, "What?" Guest swore, stand up and act befuddled, walk around the desk. Guest was in a good show film, stutter about how good they were, but only actually say, "You were the best." Ask the most basic question during one of the stupid games. Act overtly confused, like a golden retriever with an abacus. Win a point during one of those stupid games. Jump up, high-five your teammate and shout, "That's how you do it." How he's still doing it is beyond me, especially when Seth Meyers is light years better. Lily Singh lol. She's more like a ex-YouTuber than a comedian really. Their on-camera humor doesn't usually translate outside of that. Every couple of weeks, AskReddit needs a reminder that Amy Schumer and most late shows hosts are not funny. Amy Schumer is low-hanging fruit in this category. Larry the Cable Guy. once people stopped knowing it was satire. I can't stand the Larry act, but I've heard the guy talk in interviews and things, and he is funny and a great storyteller. He just wouldn't have been anybody without Larry the Cable Guy. Ellen DeGeneres. Her talk show was excruciating. Corden, Schumer and Fallon are my top 3. If you're old enough to remember, Sandra Bernhard was very popular in the early to mid 90s. She was just the worst. She came to the University of New Mexico when my mom was attending. She said Sandra suddenly started mocking the sign language translator and a shitload of the audience just groaned and walked out. The guy who uses the hand puppets on stage. That guy sucks. My old roommates would always watch his specials. Jeff Dunham. Howie Mandel, he sucks as a comedian. I loved his cartoon when I was a kid. Marjorie Taylor Greene has gone way overboard with this latest character. Completely unbelievable. And her part of Lauren Boebert is even worse. I mean, Osama bin Laden had a better book to gun ratio than her. Amy Schumer, although she is famous for not being funny. She had a brief moment, then it went to her head immediately and she became a bit stealing gimmicky piece of crap. But I agree with you. David Hughes. I made him coffee once. Was curious to see if he actually talked how he did on TV. Unfortunately his wife ordered, so I didn't get to find out or not. Dennis Leary. I used to think he was funny but then discovered who Bill Hicks was. I've always said that Leary was a great comedy performer, but he also stole almost all his early material, which is a dick move. I can watch some of his earlier stuff and still find it entertaining even though I knew it wasn't really his material because he did perform it well. Also Rescue Me was amazing TV, so that earns him a measure of forgiveness. Tiffany Haddish. If I hear she ready one more time and that weak ass dance. Pete Davidson is like Steve Harvey in Steve-O's body. That Steve the landscaper says this is the absolute cherry on top of this delightful Steve pile. I always felt that way about Bob Hope, but that only proves I'm old. I don't know that she's super famous, but Lisa Lampanelli. Deleted. Joe Rogan. I watched one of his stand-ups on YT and I didn't even break a smile. Poor deliveries and bad bits. My favorite thing is the compilations of Rogan having stand-ups on his podcast and they talk about the kind of stand-up they dislike and it's just cuts to Rogan's stand-up doing the thing they hate while Rogan is just sat there like, yeah, MHM. I agree. Literally any comedian who just screams their act for no reason. Joe Rogan, Kevin Hart, etc. Loud isn't funny. Bobcat Goldthwait deserves a pass.